free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline.
Hail to the culture. We are back once again. It is Bryce, joined as always by my boy Rome. Rome, what up, bro?
What's good, man?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. We got a few good things to get to today. Starting off with what we previewed last time we spoke, man, and that's the biggest issues not only on the field but off the field for the Washington Redskins. As everybody can remember, a couple years back, Bruce Allen dropped the infamous line, the Redskins are winning off the field, but they got to start winning on the field. And 10 years, a decade into his tenure, we see that they're not winning off the field, neither on the field. It's just been an entire debacle under Bruce Allen. So let's jump into it, man, and let's start with the on-the-field issues, Ron. If anybody listened to the preview, they would know that we kind of outlined all three of the biggest issues we saw. But third down defense so far this season has been atrocious, man. And you're just not going to win games if every time a team gets a third down, they can pretty much count it as a conversion. What do you think about the third down D? What's the biggest problems, man, and how can it be fixed?
Well, I mean, it's got to start with the coach. If you guys listen to the last pod, I already broke down Minuski. I mean, he's never had a top 10 defense. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the players. I mean, so I'll definitely get to some of the players and who needs to step up. But I definitely think it starts with the coach. The lack of aggression that he's been showing in his play calling. It's just, Minuski's just been a joke, in my opinion. But as far as the players, because they could use a little bit more production from some of these players. I believe the Redskins only have 5 sacks so far this season. That's probably one of the lowest ranking in the NFL. I got to see more from Sweat. He was a first-round pick. We were all excited about him. I need to see more from Kerrigan. It would be nice to see Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, these guys, these Alabama guys, they like to talk a lot on the mic, which I love. But it would be nice to see them pop up a little bit more on the stat sheet. Maybe, I mean, honestly, in the Giants game, the defense played fairly well. But throughout the course of the first month, the defense has been just trash, really. So it starts with the coach, but we definitely got to see some of these players step up. And I think it starts with the guys up front and Sweat and Kerrigan.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you 100%, bro. I mean, just to, and I hate to backtrack to this game because it was so terrible, in so many ways. But in the Giants game, man, it was one play in particular. I want to say it was the first quarter, towards the end of the first quarter. Maybe it was mid-second. But the Redskins had a 3rd and 17, right? Well, let me take it back. They had a 3rd and 7, and they stopped the Giants, right? During the play, which they stopped the Giants, they had a holding call, right? And Jay Gruden decided to accept the holding call on 3rd and 7, pushing it back to 3rd and 17. But I guess he forgot that he has the worst third down defense in the league. And what happens? What happens on third down? Okay, the Giants didn't convert, but they got 15 yards to give them a 4th and 2 and converted to 2 yards on 4th down. To me, that's just like, I mean, Minuski gets a lot of blame, and I'm with it. I can't stand Minuski. He's been nothing but terrible. But like I said on the last pod, man, it's got to come a point, at least for me, if I was Jay Gruden, there would come a point where I'd say, man, we're dying on me. We're going out on my shield and my sword. I'm sorry, Minuski, but I'm taking over the defense. I'm going to have more input. And Jay's input, when he has a chance to help his defense, he just doesn't. I mean, 4th and 7, they kick a field goal. Maybe they miss it. Maybe they make it. Whatever. It's just 3 points. But instead, you end up surrendering a touchdown. It just shows that the coaches don't really know their team. And it's a problem, and it continues to be one. The coaches not really knowing their personnel, not really knowing what they have on the field. But keeping it pushing, man, and staying on this coaching topic, I think me and you have both been hard on Jay Gruden for not sticking with the run game. And when he does run the ball, it's super predictable. I mean, now this is another infamous line coming out of Redskins brass. But you remember when Jay Gruden said he would only run it with AP if he could do it 55 times out of the I formation, something crazy like that. I mean, and it's kind of shown, that kind of smug attitude towards the run game is manifested itself this season. Rome, I know you're a big proponent of getting the run game going. How have you viewed that side of the Redskins offense?
Well, just like we were talking about the third down defense, a lot of that could also tie into the lack of a run game. If the offense can't stay on the field because they're not getting any yards on first or second down, then that creates third and long, and then they're right off the field, and the defense is right back on the field. So then when they're trying to stop the opposing team from converting a third down, they're a little bit more worn out because they've been on the field so long. But Jay Gruden, I mean, throughout his career, hasn't been much of a stick-to-the-run guy. The few games that AP had were because he got hot and it just got too obvious to give it to him, or we were up. And, Alex Smith, check down Alex, we were going to run it anyway. So a lot of that was just due to the style of play from Alex Smith last season. But if you look at Jay Gruden's entire career in Washington, he's never really stuck to the run game. So this isn't any surprise to me, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise to other people, I wouldn't think.
Nah, man, everything you just said was facts, man. Another thing that's starting to really, I guess, annoy me with Jay Gruden, man, is his predictability on first down, man. The only time he's going to run the ball is on first down. I mean, that's one thing for sure. Like, I would love if he came out with some quick passes, some quick strikes on first down, anything but a running play or a play action, because literally Jay Gruden does two things on first down to start games. It's either a running play, which is probably 85% of the time, or that other 15%, it's going to be a play action pass. I mean, the creativity for him being the coordinator and being able to, work the passing game the way he does, Jay Gruden's creativity, or just, I shouldn't say creativity, but I guess just like his play calling is just way too predictable for him to have the level of creativity in the passing game that he has. And definitely becoming a problem, or has been a problem, I should say. So let's keep it pushing, man, and go to the third on-the-field issue. And that has been inconsistent quarterback play. Anybody that's been listening knows that we were kind of on opposite sides of the fence early in the season. I wanted to start Dwayne Haskins. You thought it was the best route to go with Case Keenum. And early on, man, you definitely were right. Case Keenum came out, fine out of the gate. But he regressed to the mean. What can you say about the quarterback play, man? Where do we stand, and where do you think we should be going with that position going forward?
Well, I mean, I guess the plan for a quarterback is exactly what Jay Gruden said. There is no plan. They don't have a plan. I mean, to say that the Redskins quarterback play is inconsistent we're not even doing the situation justice by saying that. I can't think of a word worse than inconsistent for that right now. But like the Redskins, they don't have a starting quarterback. Colt McCoy was supposed to be the starter. He's still dealing with a leg injury from last season. Case Keenum couldn't last more than 2 games before he just turned into a turnover machine. And Dwayne Haskins, myself and most people have been saying, is not ready to play yet. And I think that showed in the Giants game. My man only played 14 games, if you think about it, since high school, 14 meaningful games since high school. So it's not out of the question to say that he needs a little bit more time to get accommodated to the NFL. And I'd be fine with playing him and sticking with it and just dealing with him getting his lumps as we go. But I just need Redskin fans and Redskins Nation to understand that if we do that, you guys got to be ready to take the lumps, the pick sixes, the interceptions, the mistakes that he's going to make as he grows while he's playing, because that comes with a lot. So don't jump ship if you see Dwayne Haskins struggling in his first year, because unlike a lot of the other rookie quarterbacks, he hasn't had very much game experience, and that's definitely going to show in NFL games against NFL defensive coordinators, which is why I've been harping so hard on him not starting a game until after we play the master himself, Bill Belichick, because that dude is a genius when it comes to calling defenses. So no need to let him eat Dwayne alive when he's not ready. But I know you also have a lot to say about the quarterback play, because that's probably one of the biggest problems when it comes to on the field.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And, like as it was stated earlier, Case Keenum came out the gates firing, man. I think through 3 weeks he was top 5 passing in the league, and that was even after, one terrible game. So, Case has ability, but like was the case in Minnesota, things have to be perfect around Case for Case to look good. And even when things are close to perfect or they're good around him, Case can still miss opportunities. I think about the Terry McLaurin being wide open on streaks, twice. Trey Quinn wide open on streaks twice against the Giants. I mean, I think about those things as like just examples of Case Keenum, you know, he just misses. He just misses things sometimes, and it is what it is. I mean, Case has been on 4 teams, 4 years. I mean, there's a reason for that, you know. Now, as far as Dwayne Haskins is concerned, and I get the people saying he's not ready, right? But it's just like I see a lot of fans wanting to play both sides here, right? They want to say start him, and then once he's thrown in, it's, oh, Jay Gruden set him up for failure. And although a lot of people feel that sentiment, I'm kind of against that train of thought, only because like this is a job, man. Dwayne Haskins is a professional. I get it, he's young, but at the same time, sometimes you go to work, especially in a new job, and you might screw up on your first day, you know. But your second day, you show an improvement, and that's what I saw from Haskins in the preseason. And that's the reason why personally I would start him against the Patriots too, because like Haskins is a guy, at least to me, he's shown me that he's a guy that not only learns from mistakes, but he's conscious of the mistakes he makes. You see, some quarterbacks, they make mistakes, like RG3 is a good example. When RG3 would make a mistake, and I loved RG3, don't get me wrong, but when he would make a mistake, he would point a ton of fingers. You know, it was this guy's fault, this guy's fault. Dwayne Haskins always puts it on him and tries to find out what he can do better. And like I said in the preseason, man, he showed that to me game after game, just a steady progression. So I'd like to rock with the young guy. I mean, I don't think it can get worse than what I saw against the Bears from Case Keenum, especially if we go with Dwayne out. Dwayne was definitely thrusted in the Giants game, but that's how it goes sometimes. I mean, did Jay Gruden set Dwayne up to fail? I mean, what if Case Keenum would have got injured? If Case Keenum gets injured, Dwayne Haskins would have won in the game either way. Would he have been set up to fail then because Case got hurt? So I just can't view it like that, like some people are. But definitely been a problem, man, the quarterback play. And if it's up to me, I'd say just keep rolling with Haskins because at this point, it's pretty much a lost season. So might as well see what we got in the kid.
The issue is Colt McCoy's injury. I think that's what made the whole thing into an issue. Because I personally believe if Jay Gruden had his way, Colt McCoy would have been QB1, Keenum QB2, and my man Haskins might have been inactive on game days. That's probably how far we've seen Jay Gruden do things like this in the past. So that's probably how far it would have gone had McCoy been healthy. And I mean, and as far as Haskins, the way it went with McCoy being injured and Haskins being QB2, Keenum getting hurt and imploding and playing the way he did was kind of, you know, like no one could really predict that it would happen as soon as it did. I mean, he couldn't even get us one W, and now with McCoy healthy, he'll probably end up being the third-string quarterback. So for Case Keenum, this journey to Washington did not go as planned at all. So I kind of feel for him in that regard. But if Washington wants to turn it around, one thing that I think we all agree on is that they got to get this QB situation straight. And whenever they do decide to start Dwayne Haskins, that's when I say they gotta ride with it. Don't give him a week of first team reps and say, you know, you're the guy, and then go back from that. If you had to put him in because, you know, the other guy was hurt or playing too poorly, that's, you know, an issue within itself. But as far as whenever they start him and actually give him, say, hey, you know, this is your time, you can't go back from that. But I mean, who knows, man? Because Jay might not even be the coach, and then the next coach might want to start him. So next week will probably be a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. And I think if it's up to the front office at this point, I think Jay would be headed out the door. So, like, yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. That'll definitely be something we're monitoring. But we'll see, man. I think a part of Jay not revealing his quarterback plan so far, too, is I think he wants to kind of have something up on the Patriots, you know. And the more and more I think about it, I think it is leaning towards Colt McCoy being the starting quarterback next game. I think we both kind of, you know, had a hint that was going to be what happened eventually. But it's definitely going to be a roller coaster ride for the second year in a row at the quarterback position.
Well, to even transition, part of the reason, like, you know, you're saying, you know, Gruden might be part of his plan, but we don't even really know because there's a lack of transparency with this organization, which is one of the big off-the-field issues that we're actually going to get into right now. And I'm going to let you go ahead and kick that off because I know you have a big issue with that and the ownership and the GM.
Well, yeah, man, I definitely do, man. I feel like anything that you give money to should have some sort of level of transparency. Like, you know, when you buy a bag of chips from 7-Eleven, you can look on the back of the nutrition facts. Like, they can't hide those from you because you spent your money on those chips. I kind of like that. But the Redskins as an organization, they don't feel that way. I did a little case study, right? And I went to YouTube. Anybody can do this. And go to YouTube and search Dan Snyder interview. You'll find three things. You'll find an interview that he did when his father passed, talking about why he bought the team and his father's influence on the team. You'll find an interview when he first hired Joe Gibbs for Gibbs 2.0. And you'll also find an interview with some random Redskins luncheon where the dude didn't even have to answer any questions about football. See, this is a problem to me. When your owner doesn't stand up on his own too and let you know what's going on, let you know what's happening, let you know the direction of the franchise, that is a problem. And that makes your fans lose trust and then eventually lose interest. I point to the Wizards, the Washington Wizards. Obviously, we're big DC fans, so we follow all the teams in the area. The Wizards, after years of ineptitude, fired general manager Ernie Grunfeld, right? But the first thing that their owner did, Ted Leonsis, who's now proven to be a good sports owner with the Capitals and now trying to turn around the Wizards, he got in front of the camera. He got on the mic. He essentially apologized to his fans, let them know it wasn't good enough, let them know he's doing everything in his power to right his wrongs and put the team in the right direction. But when has Dan Snyder done any of that? When has he connected with the fans? When has he let us know that he has us and let us know that, look, I messed up, but it ain't over, and we're still in the fight, to use a Nats term, go Nats. But really, man, when does that happen, bro? It hasn't, and to me that's a problem, and Bruce Allen is literally the exact same as Dan Snyder. When he does interviews, he talks in political terms, like the dude's worse than, these politicians, man, and it's this is not what any true fan that bleeds burgundy and gold wants to hear. They want to hear the truth. I get it, you can't reveal everything, but at least tell us something that's going to keep our hopes, our spirits high as fans, because clearly you're losing your fan base by the week.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it quick with the transparency thing because there's honestly not too much to talk about because they don't talk, so they don't really give us too much to talk about. But my big issue with it, my big issue with it is when the draft happened and, a lot of national pundits were actually applauding the Redskins for their good draft, getting Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat, who were both regarded as high draft picks. Washington landed both of them in the first round, so everyone's, applauding them, patting them on the back. All of a sudden, I see Bruce Allen on a show like First Take or NFL Live on all over ESPN and these national TV shows, and I'm just like, oh, okay, you can come out and talk now. But then when this Trent Williams news breaks, it's like crickets, It's like, where are you now? They're still talking about that on all those shows, but I don't see Bruce Allen there to address it in an interview. So that's really my biggest issue. It just kind of seems like when something good happens, they're front and center, and then when there's drama, it all falls on Jay's plate, and then Jay is left to look how he looks. But hey, I'm just observing from afar right now.
Nah, bro, man, that whole scenario you just outlined, man, that just puts it into perspective exactly what we've got with this organization, man. It's not something that's focused on winning. It's something that's focused on looking good and feeling good about themselves instead of really putting out a good product for your fans to enjoy. And it's sad, man. It's sad that a once storied franchise with still so much history is, just being dealt with the way it is. And like I said, man, you can turn on the TV, you see less and less of our fans by the week in the stands. So it's becoming an issue, and eventually it's going to start hitting their pockets. And once that happens, I'm sure we'll see something change then. So let's keep it pushing, man. I think a part of your last point kind of led us into this too, is the lack of a culture, man. We have not created a culture. We don't. You can look at some teams and you can say, oh, man, I know what I'm getting with this team. For example, the Ravens. Year in, year out, what you're getting with the Ravens. If I say the Steelers, year in, year out, oh, they're going to have a good defense. They're going to take shots down the field. What you're getting with some of these teams. They've created a culture of winning. They've got people at the helm that make you feel good about what your team can produce on the field. But the Redskins just have absolutely none of that. And if there's any culture that I say has been created by Dan Snyder over the last 20 years that you can go around and ask people in the nation about, the only thing they would tell you about, they've got a culture of spending big money on bums. And that's about it, man. That's our culture. We spend we overspend on players that will underperform. That's the only culture I can point to, because at the end of the day, culture is what you create. It's not what you want. It's not what you're attaining. It's what you create, and that's the only culture, in my opinion, over the last 20 years that we've created, man. What do you think about the state of the culture?
Yeah. I mean, we address this pretty much every pod, and that's kind of why it's a tough thing to talk about, because there's a lack of a culture. It goes right back into the transparency thing. They try to be tight-lipped, I guess. I guess maybe that's what the angle that they're trying to go for, but it doesn't come across that way to a lot of people. And I think it's gonna start to change, because the other topic that we're gonna get to, and not to jump the gun, but the team is kind of being run like a business, and that is kind of the culture of it almost. It's almost as if I think a large portion of the fan base knows this. It's almost as if they're running the team, and they're like, well, we're hitting our bottom line, and the team's, because we've been mediocre. We've been, hovering right around 500. So the team's doing what they're doing. People are still interested in certain portions. We're hitting our bottom line. So let's just say things like we're close in interviews, the few interviews that we do. And then, you know what I mean? And then I think fans are hip to it. Like, I think everyone notices that it's run like crooked businessmen. Like, not to say that these are crooked businessmen, but to say that it's almost like a Scrooge McDuck kind of thing. Like, haha, our pockets are still fat, and I'm still living good, and I'm not concerned that the team's losing. That is almost the culture of the Redskins right now. It's almost like Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen are just up in their high-rise while the rest of the fans are suffering. That, to me, seems to be what the culture of the Redskins is right now, as painful as it is to even say that out loud.
Nah, man, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, man. This team is being run way more as a business than it is a football team. While the fans sit back and suffer, Dan Snyder goes and gets an IMAX theater for his multi-million-dollar yacht. Like that.
And you know what? Before we even crush Allen and Snyder, I don't even want to say that, they're living like fat cats and not suffering too. Maybe the losing is affecting them, but we could tie that right back into the transparency, because we wouldn't know, because they don't talk to us, or any of the media.
Fact.
So it's like,
bruh, that is a fact.
The perception becomes reality, and the lack of all these three topics really just tie into one big thing. And Bruce Allen and Dan Snyder got to step up and be transparent. Maybe they are feeling what the fans are feeling. We really no one could even really tell you, because they don't show their faces really when we start to lose. But my bad to interrupt you, but it's just crazy
good,
to me how it all goes.
Nah, bro, that was the ultimate point you just made. Because you know what I'm thinking now, what that made me think is like, okay, hypothetically, Rome, how would you feel, right? Let's say Dan Snyder called a press conference right now, right this very moment, and went live. Of course, we switched to it. We're watching it, right? Dan Snyder gets on the mic, and he says, to all Redskins fans, I want to apologize for the last 20 years. I have failed you, and I will try something different to turn this around. Just those few words, man. You know how much that would change my whole outlook of this man? Just to hear something that simple?
I honestly had that thought earlier in the day, and I mean that would make all the difference, man. If Dan Snyder just came out and said, I've messed up. Like, this hasn't been, we haven't been living up to the reputation of the burgundy and gold. That would go a long way with, I'm sure, not just me and you, but the entire fan base, and probably the entire nation, the entire people, everyone that watches football, because that'd be a big admission. But is that going to happen? I'm not in the prediction business with these kind of things, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
Nah, man, we know that wouldn't happen, because they don't have that in them, man. Like, they don't have that type of care in them. Let's think about another move they made not too long ago, man. Remember last offseason, they vowed to, put the fans first and stuff like this. So they hired a new little team of executives led by Brian Lafemina, who came directly from the NFL office, like, he's literally only here to help you guys. And the first words that were coming out of Brian Lafemina's mouth was, look, we're going to put together a culture, a program, a system where the fans are coming first, where we're doing things for our fans, where our fans know that they're appreciated. That was the first thing to come out of this guy's mouth. And what happened, and slowly, it happened slowly, but you saw small attempts being made at bettering the fan experience, you know. First thing they did was they started accurately reporting the attendance, because you look at the TV and you see 30% of the seats empty, and the Redskins are getting online and telling you that it's a sellout. You know what I mean? But this is the type of culture that was created by the Redskins, man. Just one of just complete, like, foolery. They're trying to fool their fans into thinking it's something they're not. It's not. But Redskins fans, we're a lot smarter than that, you know? And a lot of us think we're a lot smarter than Dan and Bruce. And honestly, to be honest, man, a lot of us could probably do a way better job than these two guys have done with the team.
I mean, as it stands today, you can't really argue that point. But, I mean, to be fair, and just to be fair, the transparency could fix a lot of things. Even if they could just get up there and come up with some type of plan, just feed us something, because the lack of transparency leads to all the speculation, which leads to people feeling the way that they do towards them. So they kind of bring it on themselves, you know what I mean, to be real. But, I mean, hey, that's the issues with the Redskins. Will it get fixed? It's hard to say, but I think those are the biggest issues, man. I think we just knocked this out the park, man. I mean,
nah, like,
I think there's any other issues that we could, you know, because there's a lot of smaller issues, but I think we summed up like what the general issue with Bruce and Dan are. I mean, we could probably go for days really on these guys.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely could. We could come up with an issue by the minute, literally. I think that I truly think that although, you know, Dan and Bruce together, man, they brought us to this point. As a fan, and this is where I always go back to the silver lining, man. As a Redskins fan, you know, our fanhood is so strong that we'll never give up. We got diehards that'll never give up. And one thing I will say, Redskins Nation, is that all storms must come to pass, and that when this storm finally comes to pass, man, like the sunshine will be so bright. When this team finally turns it around, all of us true fans that have stuck it out from day one, some of us were born into this, we will be here to reap all of the benefits, man, and it'll mean that much more to us than it would mean to the Patriots to get their 7th, 8th, 9th championship, whatever, you know, or it would for the Steelers to get their 6th or whatever. It's going to mean, one, for us, you know, it's going to mean way more than 2 for some of these other teams, just because of what we've been through, what we've endured, and what we've proven to ourselves as fans that we really are to this team. Because this fan base is really the backbone and the rock of this organization. And one day, Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen will realize that, man. But, hey, for Bryce and Rome, man, it's hail to the culture once again. Appreciate everybody for listening. As you know, we're powered by Gas Sports for the Culture. If you haven't downloaded the Gas Network app, go to your app store, search Gas Network, download it. Don't only download it, but give it 5 stars, because me and Rome, we're working hard along with the other Gas contributors all the time to give you guys great content. Once again, appreciate you guys for listening, and hail to the culture.
My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money.